I started from dust, particles just like all of you trust. Man, it's cosmic enough. Shit, my head in a closet, my heart anchors me down, and I chew through my chains and don't tame me now. Know it's safe to be found, I just chased you around. Yo, thought that they saw me, I look like a wolf or a bear, but an ape on a prowl, with an L in the shape of an owl. Let me show you what the wild things are. I might see a couple things you don't wanna take part in. Stay home with the doors locked, listen with your ears to the wall of your next door apartment. My pardon, what's your problem? Monsters crawling out of your closet.
Hello, everybody. This is Craig from 9V Games, and I guess I'm in my throat. Not gonna edit that. Hello, everybody. This is Craig from 9V Games, and today I want to talk about my favorite Sonic game in the Sonic series. Throughout the years of my channel, I've talked about Mario a lot. I've barely talked about Sonic, except for coming to the defense of certain games that are widely perceived as terrible in the Sonic franchise. And I'm not above saying or so blinded by my love for Sonic the Hedgehog that any of the 3D era games are god tier, because they're not. Sonic has been on a sharp decline, and it's really hard for it to come back up. And the simple fact that they had to come out with Sonic Mania in order for me to go, I still love Sonic, is a testament to that. But I digress. So a little background before I do this video. I guess three things, really. When I say Sonic 3, because that's my favorite, I do mean both of these together, right? Because if you didn't know, I had to do a little research. I didn't have to, but I did a little research watching videos and reading some things before I did this video. I've had this idea in my head for the last week about doing this video, and I wanted to make sure I said things correct. So here's the other part of the background. Hilariously enough, and it's related to this, is I had someone approach me and asking me advice about YouTube, and I was like, I'm not the one. Because they want to do videos and they want to make money, and I was like, I'm not even allowed to make money. On top of that, that's not really my goal, but, you know, just be you, do your thing, whatever. And they were asking me, like, editing and all that stuff. I was like, I don't do that either. And I was like, my process, if you could even call it that, is to sit down and say everything from 5 to 10 minutes that's in the top of my head at the time. I don't write anything down. I rarely think I had more than 5 minutes of what I'm going to say. Like I said, I've had this idea in my head for the last week, but I didn't think about what I was actually going to say, because I write a script and then it's not from the heart. It's not from here or here, depending. You're born birth defect. I don't know. It's not. I don't feel like it's from the heart. I feel like it's a business. It's a business if you're doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I told him that. And then the other point that I want to make before I start talking about it is, I didn't own Sonic 3. I owned a Sega Genesis. I didn't own a Sonic 3. I didn't own a copy of Sonic 3 because I was at that point in my childhood where I had enough friends around me where we all had Sega Genesis or Super Nintendos or whatever, and then we would ask for certain games, and then when we got them, we'd play them, beat them, and then we'd give them to our other friends, and we'd just rotate cartridges like that all the time. So my friend Fabian had Sonic 3. His dad got him Sonic 3. So then I asked for Sonic and Knuckles because they were I believe less than a year apart. And I ended up borrowing his Sonic 3 when I got Sonic and Knuckles, and I played Sonic 3 that way, which apparently was the correct way. I didn't know it at the time, but this was part of the reason I said I did research, is because sometimes I say things in my videos, and I normally everything I say is objective to my opinion. I really don't come out and do factual things. I don't claim to be like people like the gaming historian, which I hold that man in high regard. And a new guy that I found actually was watching his videos, and I actually was fact checking some of his stuff, and this guy's good. His name's King K. I like him a lot. I love his channel. He goes through a bunch of games that I love from my childhood, and he does stuff about that. So shout outs to those bigger channels that don't need help from my tiny ass YouTube channel. But still, I don't do videos like those types of people. But those are the channels that I watch because we don't do similar videos, and I'm less likely to steal. You know what I mean? So again, I'm gonna the title of this video is Best in the Series, and I say Sonic 3. I mean Sonic 3 with Knuckles, the way that it was intended. And I knew about this later on in life, and I didn't know this when I was a kid, is that this was actually one game. One game. And they didn't hit their holiday release, or they weren't going to hit their holiday release, so they split it into 2 games. And it didn't make sense to me as a kid when you could actually nail the level select code in this game. Fucking, the timing was insane. Insane. Up, up, down, down, up, up, up. And your window's like fucking 3 seconds. But if you got the level select in this, which I think is why they made it so difficult, you could see a bunch of levels from Sonic and Knuckles, which at the time Sonic and Knuckles wasn't out. And you saw these levels and you're like, why aren't these levels here and why aren't they selectable? But I found out later on in life that they ended up splitting these into 2. And while people were satisfied when Sonic 3 came out because it was the same length as a full Sonic game, and Sonic and Knuckles was the same length as a full Sonic game, we were used to, Sonic 3 did something different that makes a lot more sense when you play these 2 properly. Like, Ice Cap Zone, I think, is arguably the most popular level in Sonic 3. One of the most popular levels in Sonic, period. And it's because of the music, and you start out on a snowboard. But that snowboard is actually a piece of the launch base from this. So I thought that was, did I say launch base? I didn't mean launch base. Flying battery. See? That's why I had to watch these videos. Flying bat. I just actually played both of these together. There's a ROM. I'm totally not telling you to go steal stuff, but there is actually Sonic 3 Complete that puts these together in order the way they were supposed to be. So they did the transitions. This is one of the reasons I love Sonic 3 so much, is that the levels in Sonic traditionally went from woods to mechanical, from nature to mechanical. And that's the way that it goes because it's Robotnik or Eggman, wherever you're from, fucking with nature with his mechanical shit all the way up till Sonic, leading up until, he gets to Eggman's base or wherever the base of operations in that point is. And then there's really no transitions. Sonic 3 did it so that when you left one area, you left that area, and then you went directly into the next one. And Sonic 3 did it, and it was newer, so it was novel, so you didn't really care that it was, daytime, complete daytime in one level, and then you transfer out to like Carnival Night, and then it's a complete nighttime, right? If you play these in order, the transitions actually match the levels. So like I said, Flying Battery is my favorite example because I hated Flying Battery when I was a kid, but Ice Cap Zone was one of my favorite levels. When you bust out of the side of Flying Battery, he takes a piece of the paneling and he uses that as the snowboard when you start Ice Cap. So this was a way of Sonic the Hedgehog telling you a story of the order of events without using any words. And that's something I love. There was no text in the Sonic games to help drive that story forward. So from Sonic 1 and 2, like, yes, you knew Eggman was the bad guy. You knew that he was fucking with nature. And that Sonic was like the protector, right? They added a couple elements into Sonic and Knuckles in Sonic 3. I'm just going to call it Sonic 3. They added a couple elements that kind of furthered that, right? Sonic was this great protector. And then all of a sudden, Angel Island starts, and Supersonic's coming in from the end of the battle from 2. And he's coming in on Tails' plane, and then he gets stopped by this really badass red animal, which at the time I didn't know what it was. I always thought Knuckles was a girl, by the way. I didn't know Knuckles was a boy until later on. What was awesome about it was we had this new character who wasn't a human, who wasn't a robot, and was perceived to be the bad guy. I thought that Knuckles was the bad guy or the bad girl at that point, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna have a new sub boss." It's not Mecha Sonic or Uncle Chuck or Metal Sonic, whatever you want to call him. We used to call him Uncle Chuck. I don't know. I don't know where that came from, but in my group of friends, we always used to call Metal Sonic Uncle Chuck. Why? Anyways, so once you get to the sanctuary, Sky Sanctuary is above it, but once you go to where you find out that Knuckles is the guardian of the Great Emerald, right? The Great Chaos Emerald. And then Robotnik steals it from him, and then you see Knuckles shaking his fist. And then you were like, oh shit. I was like, not a bad guy. And without any words, I was like, Eggman or Robotnik. I was a Robotnik when I was a kid. Robotnik tricked this little red thing, this little echidna, which I had no idea what it was at the time, into thinking Sonic was the bad guy so he could steal that. I gathered all that as a 9-year-old kid with no words. So Sonic helped deliver a story in such an epic fashion. There was things that I didn't notice until later on in life. I didn't notice that there was a painting in the background of that area of Sonic fighting Eggman, like a hypersonic fighting Eggman. It was right there, and all the backgrounds and stuff told this. So I don't know. It was a combination of the music, the level design. The level design in Sonic 3 was insane. One thing that was comparative for like schoolyard fights when I was a kid, Sega versus Nintendo, was that Sonic was fast and had the attitude, but Mario games were, they were tight, they were precise, they were bigger. The worlds were bigger, but they're so different from each other that I don't know why we compared them when we were a kid. I mean, I understand that we compared them because it was about console loyalty at the time, the console wars of the 90s. But other than that, they're so different. You know what I mean? I think that's why when Sega didn't go under, but when they stopped their... My camera's shaking. I'm getting excited. I'm touching the table. When they stopped producing consoles, I think that's why Nintendo had no issue being like, bring Sonic over here. It's not a competition to Mario if you guys don't have another console. But Sonic 3 took their, point A to point B with, maybe a couple options above or below to get there. And they made it insane. If you pull up a map of Chemical Plant, that was in Sonic 2, but if you pull up a map of most of the levels in Sonic 3 and you pull back and see the different layers, they put so much effort into the game that I think if they had released this game, I know it would have done damage to the Genesis sales-wise for holiday season, like business standpoint. I get that. But if they put these two together, this would have rivaled Super Mario World in terms of scope, because Super Mario World was phenomenal. I played the shit out of that when I was a kid. It was big. I didn't have an interest in asking my parents for Sonic 3, and I waited until Sonic and Knuckles came out because Sonic games were short. Yeah, there was a lot you could do. You get all the Chaos Emeralds, you become Super Sonic. Couldn't do that in 3, by the way, until you actually had Sonic and Knuckles. But you did all that, and then you compared it to a Mario game, and you're like, I'm gonna fly through this. Not worth my time, not worth my money. If they had released this game, it would have not demolished Mario. Didn't have that power, but it would have stacked up against it nicely. Because, like I said, the music, presentation, Sonic controls were as tight as ever. Very precise. I love this game. I loved all the boss fights. And when you get to... I know they used the music in Sonic 3 as they did in Sonic and Knuckles. Like I said multiple times now, it's because they were the same game. But the Doomsday Machine is one of my favorite tracks and one of my favorite fights. Even though that boss is so fucking unfair, because once you... Beating the hands is easy. Dash spin, let him try and clamp on you, you get rid of those fingers easy. It's when he's walking after you. It's so unfair because they got that giant ass laser that comes out where you need pinpoint accuracy to not get hit by it. And then you're going to lose your rings anyways. So you got to make sure you nail that shit every single time. But anyways, yeah. That whole, like, you see the Earth in the background. You're fighting a giant Eggman in space. The music's got you pumped. Everything's going fast. Once you knock those fingers out, you're running from a giant fucking space robot. And once you defeat him, after going through every level of the complete version of Sonic 3, it is one of the best senses of accomplishment I have ever had in gaming, period. And the whole package felt that way because every landscape was so different from each other. I know they were different in the other ones, and Sonic 2 had a lot of different venues. It went from Emerald Hill to fucking Emerald Hill to Chemical Plant. I hated Chemical Plant, by the way. People really love Chemical Plant. I hated Chemical Plant. And then you had I don't remember the exact order now, but anyways, you had Oil Ocean, you had the Mystic Woods. Like they were different, but if you pull back, like it was kind of weird. Like they didn't go in a specific order. They were just cool and they were different from each other. These ones went in a specific order and they were so different and different looking from each other. There was a vast difference between Angel Island and then Launch Base. That's one I said earlier and fucked up. But there was a huge difference that told a story through the backgrounds and transitions, and it felt right. It felt like a complete Sonic game. It felt like I know they put effort in their games before, that's why they became successful, but it feels like this is the Sonic game they put the most effort into. Right? That's why they were going to miss that date. And if you go back and play it the way that I'm suggesting you play it, which is the complete version, you'll feel that, and you're gonna look at that, and then you're gonna end up going to the next Sonic, which was Sonic Adventure, and you're gonna go, why didn't they just continue this? I think that they could have continued with this level of effort, not giving Sonic the Hedgehog a voice, not giving Tails a voice, not having Big the Cat or any of that shit, and they could have. I think they could have consistently kept this going. It might have dipped down because people wanted the 3D, but now people want 2D again. It's a trend. They should really go back to making a proper Sonic 4. I didn't like Sonic 4. I did not like Sonic 4 at all. But if they made another game with the size of these two put together as one, I almost put it in backwards. I think Sonic would be back more than you've ever seen. I know we have a couple games coming out. There's a hand-drawn Sonic fan game coming out. I want one officially from Sega. And I'm utterly surprised that they haven't released the complete version of this yet. Everybody knows now what they did to us back in the day. And it wasn't so bad because it had the length of the average Sonic game. But if they went back and they just released it the proper way and made it look good, I'm telling you, Sonic Curse would be lifted. Especially now's the time to strike when the iron's hot, because that Sonic movie did phenomenal. It did phenomenal. Best video game movie ever created? Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so I'm shifting the focus off of Sonic 3 here. Sonic 3 is great because a multitude of things, like I said. Music, gameplay, level design, level lengths, pathways, secrets, Chaos Emeralds, special zones were amped up. It was everything I wanted when I was a kid. And I'm glad that I waited and I played it the way that it was supposed to be played. I didn't know at the time, but I was just like, well, I didn't play Sonic 3. I have Sonic and Knuckles. You can play both games, that way. And I was happy with it. I don't know. I played this game again the other night. I played the complete version on my Raspberry Pi. And it was like, yeah, I can go back and I can play Sonic 1. I can play Sonic 2, and those are games I enjoy with my kids. Not so much now. They're getting older and they want newer things. But I can go back and play them, and it's just me sharing my childhood with my kids. I can play Sonic 3 by myself, and once the music fires up, and I start playing a level, it's not just me sharing something I used to do or something I enjoyed when I was younger, and it's not just me like reliving the glory days of my gaming. Like I get that feel like childlike wonder, I guess you would call it, and it changes the way I feel inside. Not a lot of games do that. So when I say it's best in the series and I say that it's subjective to my opinion, that's why. That's what I mean when I say, I'm sorry it took me 18 minutes and 52 seconds to get here, but that's what I mean when I say it's the best in the series. And that's applicable to any type of game or any game series. There's always that one game that when you pop it on, just from the opening, anything. In this case, it's Sonic, telling you you're a little bitch. You can't get that level select. You're not fast enough. Just that chime and the memories that are attached to it, and the quality of the game. This is like, yeah, I enjoyed this when I was a kid. It's also a good game. The soundtrack's amazing. Fucking Michael Jackson was involved in it. You know what I mean? And that whole spectrum of where Sonic is now, where it was when the Dreamcast was out, where it was back in 1992, where it wasn't, all the way up till 94 with this. The fact that we had a whole console that skipped Sonic, and we have a lot of, I think at this point with Sonic, we have a lot more downs than we have ups. And the fact that I can still put this game in at 34 years old and get that same exact feeling of me kneeling in front of a TV with a fucking console on top of it and a wire hanging down the middle of the TV. And I get that same feeling every time. And I don't get that with a lot of games. That to me is why Sonic and Knuckles is... I did it. That to me is why Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the best game in the series. You can't tell me I'm wrong. That's my opinion. Somebody's going to come in the comments and tell me that I'm wrong. Fuck you. It's an opinion. It's not wrong. Thank you guys for watching. No, let's not do that. What series would you like me to look at and tell you what my favorite one is? I'll be open to any suggestions. If I don't feel that way about a series, I'm probably not going to do a video about it, but it can't hurt to try. And also, what is your favorite Sonic in the series? Like I said, mine's opinion. Yours will be opinion too. There's no fact about it. I don't care what anybody says, but I am open to hearing which one is your favorite, in your opinion, which one's the best, and have a discussion about it. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day.